You twist open a small jar in your kitchen. The lid gives a soft plastic squeak, and the smell rises. Warm, sweet, almost peppery, like a fireplace made edible. For a second, your brain cannot decide whether it feels like dessert or medicine or both. You look down at your palm. Tiny nail-shaped buds, dark brown, almost black. You have used them 100 times without thinking. But here is something that might surprise you. These little spice pins were once so valuable that they pulled ships across oceans and helped ignite the age of exploration. People did not just cook with them. They fought wars over where they grew, all for something you can hold between 2 fingers. Cloves come from an evergreen tree called Syzygium aromaticum. In the right conditions, the tree reaches 15 to 20 meters tall. But the part that changed history is not the trunk or the leaves. It is what happens when the tree prepares to flower. When a clove tree is ready, it produces clusters of buds. These buds shift color as they mature. Pale green first, then blushing toward pinkish red, as if they are about to bloom. But they never do. Harvesters pick them just before the flowers open. That shape you recognize, the bulbous head and slender stem, is a bloom stopped at its most fragrant moment. For centuries, these trees grew in only one place on Earth, the Maluku Islands of Indonesia, long known as the Spice Islands. When a powerful flavor has a single address, desire becomes a root. Then the Europeans arrived. Portuguese traders reached the Spice Islands in 1512. They saw what the local kingdoms had protected for generations. Within decades, Portugal and the Netherlands were fighting for control. Not over gold, not over territory, over the right to harvest these tiny buds. A smell had become a passport. And when a smell becomes a passport, it can become a reason to fight. Here is the thing nobody tells you. Making cloves is almost entirely about timing. A clove tree takes 4 to 6 years before it produces its first buds. Once mature, the tree flowers twice a year, usually between September and February. Each flowering window lasts only a few weeks. Miss it, and you wait another 6 months. Harvesters watch the buds obsessively. The color tells the story. Green means too early. The essential oil content sits around 8%. Pink means perfect. The eugenol concentration peaks between 15 and 20%. Red means too late. The bud has started opening. The aromatic compounds begin escaping into the air. The picking happens by hand. Workers climb the trees or use long bamboo poles with hooks attached. They snap the bud clusters from the branches, careful not to damage next season's growth points. A skilled harvester collects 4 to 6 kilograms of fresh buds per day. That sounds like a lot until you realize fresh cloves weigh almost nothing. Fresh buds contain about 65% moisture. They cannot be stored like this. Within hours, fermentation begins. The buds would rot before reaching any kitchen. Drying happens fast. Traditional methods spread the buds on bamboo mats under direct sunlight. The equatorial sun in Indonesia hits around 32 degrees Celsius. Over 4 to 5 days, those fresh pink buds transform before your eyes. Moisture drops from 65% to around 12%. Weight drops by 2/3. Color shifts from pink to the dark brown you recognize. The transformation is not just physical. Heat triggers chemical changes inside each bud. Eugenol, the compound responsible for that warm, slightly numbing sensation, concentrates as water leaves. A fresh bud smells grassy and mild. A dried clove smells like itself, intense and unmistakable. Quality grading happens next. Whole cloves with intact stems fetch the highest prices. Broken buds become ground clove powder. Dust and debris get discarded. From 1 kilogram of fresh buds, you get roughly 300 grams of finished spice. 2/3 of what you started with simply vanishes into the tropical air. The numbers tell a strange story. First, each clove bud contains 80 to 90% eugenol in its essential oil. That single compound explains the warmth, the slight numbness when you bite one, and why clove oil appears in dental products worldwide. Second, archaeologists found clove traces in a ceramic vessel from Syria, dating to 1721 BCE. The spice was crossing continents when history itself was still learning to write. Third, at their peak in medieval Europe, cloves cost more per weight than gold. A small bag could buy farmland. Indonesia still produces 70% of global supply. But the real shock is what happened when others tried to break that monopoly. Here is where the story flips. The Dutch East India Company wanted total control. In the 1600s, they burned clove trees on every island except one, Ambon. Anyone caught smuggling seeds faced execution. For nearly 2 centuries, this monopoly held. Then in 1770, a French expedition smuggled seedlings to Mauritius. From there, cloves spread to Zanzibar, Madagascar, and beyond. The empire built on scarcity collapsed. The spice that once bought ships now sits in a $3 jar on your shelf. What do you tell someone who asks about cloves? You tell them this: every clove is a flower that never bloomed, picked at the exact moment its fragrance peaked, then dried until 2/3 of its weight vanished into the air. For centuries, it grew in only one place on Earth. People crossed oceans and burned forests and executed smugglers to control it. Now it sits in your kitchen drawer, waiting for a holiday ham or a pot of chai. That is the strange arc of value. Something so precious that empires fought for it eventually becomes so common that you forget to notice it. Presence is not about size. It is about what remains after you have walked away. Use cloves gently. Let them support, not dominate. And notice how something so small can still change everything. Back in your kitchen, you twist the lid closed. That soft plastic squeak again. The cloves settle in the dark, but the scent lingers. That is the process. We reveal how things actually work, one story at a time. If there is something you would like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.